is mailbag time. Here are the Kids, the Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, you got questions. You're in luck because I got answers. We're talking everything from free agency, draft, trades, all sorts of ideas out there. We will answer them. And I've already taken a little bit of a sneak peek in the mailbag this week. I've seen stuff on Davante Adams, Von Miller, a few other guys. We'll answer all your questions in just a moment. You may be wondering, how can I be a part of your next mailbag segment? Well, folks, all you got to do is subscribe and turn on notifications. Be a part of what we call the Noti Gang. Those are the folks that are notified when we have new content here on the channel, whether it's our daily news and rumors, our live shows, our mailbags. We do these mailbags live on Tuesdays, folks. So if you subscribe and turn on notifications, you'll be the first to know when we have new content on the channel. So subscribe now. Join the Noti Gang. If you're part of that Noti Gang, spam Noti Gang in the comments section, and we'll get started with today's show. Casey Kingdom writes in, could you see the Chiefs trade for Davante Adams? So this is funny, Casey Kingdom, because if you would have asked me this question a few months ago when he was with the Raiders, I would have said no chance, right? There was no way in hell that the Raiders were going to trade Davante Adams to the Kansas City Chiefs of all teams. But now that he's with the New York Jets, and the Jets have had their share of problems, and they are looking to unload and, kind of start this rebuild. Sounds like Davante Adams is going to be looking for a new home. I think that it's certainly possible that Davante Adams could end up in Kansas City when it's all said and done. The Chiefs have some salary cap issues to figure out. They obviously need to find some solutions on the offensive line, specifically at left tackle and the guard spot. But Davante Adams, I don't think it's going to cost you an arm and a leg when it comes to draft capital. You think about it, the Jets, they gave up, like a third or fourth round pick, and he still had over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. I would think they'd be looking for something similar in compensation. If that's all it takes, by all means, sign me up. Let's bring Davante Adams to Kansas City. I think it's a great idea. Should the Chiefs trade for Davante Adams? It is our pinned comment today. You got two options here. Type T for trade, P for pass. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know if you think the Chiefs should trade for Davante Adams or not. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money on sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this basketball season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. I'm already looking ahead on Prize Picks, folks, to the start of the football season. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf to have more than 999.5 receiving yards. Maybe he does it in a Chiefs uniform, potentially. Also going with Patrick Mahomes to have more than 27.5 passing touchdowns. If I put $20 down and both those hit, that turns into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me, prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Prize Picks, you can win up to 1,000 times your money right now. Check them out. You'll be glad you did. Prize Picks, glad to have them on board with us here on today's show. Chiefs fan for life writes in, what about bringing Von Miller to the Chiefs? So all indications are that Von Miller is likely to be released from the Buffalo Bills, as we saw that this Buffalo Bills team obviously lost in the AFC Championship to the Chiefs. Von Miller doesn't look like the same player that he used to be, that he's taken a step back. Honestly, I think Von Miller is washed, if we're going to be frank. I think he's had a brilliant career. I think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer someday, but I don't think he has much left to offer. And if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, I think you can do better. If you're looking for pass rush options, I think you can do better than going for an old guy like Von Miller at this point in time. I think the game has passed him by. I am so glad that he's not in the division anymore. I still have nightmares at times about what he did with the Denver Broncos and wreaking havoc with that team. But I just think those days are gone with Von Miller. Even for a cheap contract, I can't imagine him bringing a whole lot to the table at this point. I mean, sure, he had 6 sacks last season, but the year before that, he didn't have a single sack. So I'm kind of out on the idea of Von Miller, but we'll see. Maybe Spags feels differently. Should the Chiefs bring in Von Miller? You got 2 options here. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Weigh in. Let us know if you think the Chiefs should bring in Von Miller or not. Tim writes in, bring back Hollywood and Juju. You know, I don't think they're going to cost you a ton. I think Hollywood's more likely to come back than Juju is. We saw a small sample size with Hollywood. I like what he did at the end of the regular season, but he didn't do much in the postseason. Juju, for that matter, had the great game. I think it was against the Saints, where he had over 100 receiving yards. He came through in one of the games late in the season in the playoffs. I don't think he would cost you a ton himself. But if you make me choose between one of the two, I'd rather have Hollywood back than I would Juju. But I think there's a pretty good chance that each of them could be back. I would say that Hollywood and Juju, probably decent chance they're back. Watson, probably a decent chance he's back. I'd be very surprised at this point if DeAndre Hopkins is going to return to Kansas City. I think that's one where the Chiefs felt disappointed that they didn't get necessarily their return on what they were hoping for when they made that trade for DeAndre Hopkins, but we shall see. Tony writes in, I'm glad Travis Kelce is playing another year. I'm not expecting Travis to play as he used to, but I think he's got some juice in the tank. Tony, I'm with you. Is he the same player that he was a couple of years ago? Certainly not. But he's still one of the very best in the National Football League. I think what you have to do if you're the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes to Travis Kelce at this point is you have to change the offense. All right? He can still be a focal point, but he can't be the focal point of this offense anymore. You got to find ways to get Xavier Worthy more involved, Rashee Rice more involved, and less dependence on Travis Kelce. Because we've seen just too many teams are effective with the double team and taking him away. And there's times that he looks really good and times where he kind of just fades into the distance. I can't have him be the primary option. I think he can still be effective, and I still think that he can be a pivotal part of this offense. But I don't think he can be the key focal point. And that's okay, quite frankly, at this point in his career. I think it's still better to have him there than not have him there as far as that goes. Thanks for the question, Tony. Billy writes in, what do you think the Chiefs should do about the O-line? I think they probably go with a veteran at the left tackle spot, like a Ronnie Stanley or a Cam Robinson. And then the right guard spot, assuming that Trey Smith is gone, I think that's a guy they draft. Maybe Kingsley slides over to the right guard position potentially. Maybe you end up drafting a guy like Tyler Booker or something. But that would be what I would expect the Chiefs do, is that they spend money at left tackle and they probably go younger at the right guard spot to try to get this offensive line where it needs to be. Tony writes in, there's so many draft targets that I like. The guy that I want most mathematicians, Golden Imagine, Golden Worthy, working side by side. I think he's saying Matthew Golden from Texas. I don't think he meant mathematicians. I'm picking up what you're laying down there, Tony. I would like to see that, man. Like I said, there's so many others as well. Matthew Golden, I'll say this. If you pair him up with Xavier Worthy, former teammates at the University of Texas, totally different receivers. All right? And they would complement each other. I think they would be a nice fit potentially together. But I don't know if you're one to use a high pick on the receiver spot. I don't know if that's priority in this draft when you got to take care of that offensive line. But you might not have the offensive line options you're potentially looking for, picking at 31. Samuel writes in, who's the best Chiefs player right now on the roster? Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that guy, 15. Patrick Mahomes. Joe Tooney won the team MVP award. He had a very good year, but it's still 15. He's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. Sure, his numbers haven't been as good the last couple of seasons, but I think there's some other factors when you look at the receiving core and offensive line issues, but it is still Patrick Mahomes is that guy. Last question from Tim. Tim wants to know, DK, yes, Davante Adams, no. I think Davante Adams is better than DK Metcalf, but DK Metcalf is younger than Davante Adams. And I think DK might cost more than Davante Adams in the trade market. They both would be very expensive contract-wise, but I would take either one. I'd be happy with either player, quite frankly. But DK or Davante Adams, that's a tough call. I think that's my answer. I'd be happy with either one. If they bring either one in, we'll see. I would be surprised, but it's not impossible. You can never say never on these things. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. For the latest happenings on your Kansas City Chiefs all offseason long, you got to be subscribed to the channel and make sure and join us for our next mailbag segment. Subscribe now for free. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.